Welcome back to the Monday Morning Show, putting the odd back into podcasting. Today is August 8th, 2019, and I'm Ken LaSalle, novelist and writer of other stuff as well from kenlasalle.com. And this is Talking Shit. The United States of America is reeling, not just from 2 more mass shootings to add to the list, not just from a president who encourages such behavior, not just from a Congress that can't keep him in check. With climate change and mass extinctions, a culture of corruption, and intelligence at a seemingly all-time low, more and more of us are turning our thoughts and our hearts and our gaze inwards, looking for an answer. An answer to what? Probably a question some of you are asking today. Do things really happen for a reason? Did all those fine folk in Dayton and El Paso die for nothing? Why are we being punished with a president of Trump's tiny caliber? Is there anyone out there who cares? At the core of all of our uncertainties about life lies this question. Do things really happen for a reason? Why? Maybe because life is scary. We come into this world alone, surrounded by strangers who act like they know us. We leave in very much the same way. And in the middle, we want some assurance that our actions have some meaning, that they hold some weight, that somebody out there cares. And nothing holds more meaning or weight, and we care for few things more than those things that happen for a reason. On top of that, when things happen for a reason, they are automatically meaningful. How about that? That's one way to prove to yourself that you matter. Just remind everyone how meaningful you are because events in your life happen for a reason. Random events naturally make us uneasy, but you explain those events with reasons, meaningful reasons, and that sense of unease naturally goes away. It's okay. That happened because someone planned it for a reason. Of course, there's another way of looking at that question of if things happened for a reason. Take all those victims in El Paso and Dayton. Did they die for a reason? Sure. The reason was they got shot. You see, reasons can be simple. Trump was elected because of a corrupt political system. Congress is another part of that system. Climate change is happening because we're idiots with impulse issues, and so on. In that regard, things really do happen for a reason. They're just very simple reasons. But that's not enough. See, when people suggested that something happened for a reason, pragmatic, down-to-earth answers is not what they're looking for. No, they don't want easy-to-understand answers. They want high stakes, bigger than life, beyond your comprehension. Let's stop beating around the bush and say it's God answers. They ask, why do bad things happen to good people? And you may be tempted to reply, because the universe isn't inherently fair and there is no arbiter to keep things straight. But they don't want that. They want to know that it's all part of God's plan. You remember God, that all-powerful deity you imagined? Yeah, him. He made it happen for a reason. And those of us with brains immediately want to puke. But it's really easy for me to mock this need for quick fulfillment, for easy meaningfulness. It's easy for me to say that there's no reason for things on the grand scale of it. God has no plan for your life because there is no God. And even if there was one, why would he make a plan that's easy enough for a stoner at a barbecue to see through?
Party foul, dude, but hey, no worries. It's all part of God's plan.
Sure it is. But rather than simply mock, I decided to look for answers. It's not easy to find answers on the subject of free will, and let's be clear, predestination, or having someone plan your life so that you can observe how special you are when you're a little drunk, negates free will. In other words, if things really did happen for a reason, meaning if you really did not have free will, the repercussions would be extensive, but usually ignored, so hey. What do the major religions tell us about free will? Not a whole lot. Actually, Western religions don't really address it in their primary material. They let their B team mop that up. Of course, they all came out for free will because who doesn't want free will? Do you want to be simply another cog in a machine? Of course you don't. But that does create an issue around good old free will. Which is it? Of course, they answer that as well by not really answering it. And that's where we're left. Eastern religion doesn't tend to focus so much on the question of free will, but then they're not the ones spreading this rumor that everything happens for a reason. On the contrary, Eastern religion isn't too fond of speaking with authority on anything. This idea that everything happens for a reason has plenty of defenders, mostly without a whole lot of education, but it's lacking in defense. Where's the proof? Where's the reason? What makes you so special that God laid everything out in advance down to the last detail while still allowing you free will? Time to check Google. Now, I could spend the next hour reading all of the answers to the question, does everything happen for a reason, given to me by Google? But nobody wants that. Deep down, you probably already know what the answer is. The answer, for those of you who don't know, is first-class, grade A, all-American bullshit. The finest we produce. Because nobody has any justification for believing that everything happens for a reason, short of the intellectual laziness that comes along with that belief. Here are the top 5 hits Google came back with when asked, do things happen for a reason? Number 1. HuffPost presents 10 examples of why things happen for a reason. Now, this is a promising start. It claims to provide examples of why things happen for a reason, not just fluff, real examples. Example 1.
Realize that if a door closed, it's because what was behind it wasn't meant for you.
Wait a minute, that's not an example of why things happen for a reason. It's simply a platitude meant to dull your mind. Don't think for yourself. Let others think for you. Wrong answer. Number 2. 5 reasons why everything happens for a reason in life. Okay, this is good, if redundant. Reasons. We need reasons. Reason 1.
It prepares you for what's to come.
Like all of the, quote, reasons, unquote, given in this article, that isn't a reason. That's a justification. Why did something happen? Don't think about it. Just tell yourself it's preparing you for something else. Once again, the push is for you to stop thinking.
Number 3.
Psychology Today presents Does Everything Happen for a Reason? The answer? Sure. Maybe. Yeah, I guess. But not. Maybe. You see, Psychology Today, being a journal of science, I'm guessing, should come right out and have the courage to give an actual answer. They aren't as bad as some of the other sites I looked at, but to equivocate and say that, quote, the doctrine that everything happens for a reason has intellectual variance, unquote, is about as bad as teaching so-called intelligent design next to real science. I know, we do it every day, but it doesn't make it right. Either make your answer clear or don't try to answer the question.
Number 4.
IdeaPod presents Everything Happens for a Reason, 7 Reasons to Believe This is True. This is another article with a redundant title giving no reasons, only justifications and magical thinking. But I wanted to highlight this because one of the so-called reasons is that believing everything happens for a reason gives us closure. So, help me out here. A plane crashes over the Atlantic, or worse, into the Atlantic. Why did it happen? For a reason. What reason? We don't know yet.
Hold on. We'll find out. Just keep waiting.
How is this closure? How is saying someone else has a magical plan and you don't get to know what it is closure? What's closing? Minds? Okay, finally we hit
Number 5.
and it's one of my favorites. Number 5 comes from mission.org and it asks, does everything happens for a reason?
They really need to pay their editors more over at mission.org.
Or is it the meaning we attach to it? Not a bad question if poorly written. It means that we have a choice here. We can either take the view of the brain damaged and assume with no justification, proof, or any reason at all that somebody is standing behind the curtains, behind all of the curtains, and they are pulling ropes to make things happen for you. You can believe the entire universe was created simply for your entertainment and amusement. That's one way to go. Or you can consider how things actually work. Why do planes crash? Not because some man in the clouds wanted it to happen because he's got some plan he's got to keep going, and you can't keep it going without killing people in planes, after all. Planes crash because planes crash. People get shot because someone pointed a gun at them and fired. I know these types of answers aren't as thrilling or provocative as everything happening for a reason, but it's a far easier way to go. I can tell you that the fine folks over at mission.org went back and forth without seeming to make up their mind. The article closes with a call to action that we must think about these things rationally and with a critical eye towards, I'm kidding, of course. It ends with simply trust, a very important word in all caps. There is a greater plan taking shape in your life. And there it is again, trust. Turn off your mind and trust. How could a philosophy of turning your brain off and letting others do your thinking for you be harmful? Right? I've heard people say that the belief that everything happens for a reason is,
And I hate to use this word, but it's the word they use.
fun. So, when God makes a kid's hands get blown off by a firework, that's fun. When God kills a bunch of bystanders with the help of some idiot with a gun, that's a hoot. Sure, all kinds of fun here. How about genocide? Is that fun? Ebola, rape, are we having fun yet? And the sad truth is, Mission.org was close. They were just too stupid. Do things happen for a reason? Yes. Yes, they do. But those reasons are not attributable to a god of any kind or any supernatural power, not because we know irrevocably that no such things exist, but because we cannot attribute such power without proof. If you're going to tell me things happen because God makes them happen, introduce me to your God. I'm talking face to face or face to tentacles or whatever your God has. Let's have a beer and talk it out. But until then, he is not a credible witness. We're talking shit here, and I'm not going to embrace some addle-headed excuse just because it's convenient. I can promise you that. And so we don't fall back on anything we cannot rely on, and that means we think critically. And isn't it interesting that you only hear things happened for a reason when someone needs some kind of reassurance? You ever notice that? You got cancer? Don't worry, that happened for a reason. Your mother died? Happened for a reason. Kid raped? Reason. Ebola? Reason. You never hear people use that excuse when a movie flops or when a dog pukes. People don't want their reassurances covered in puke and flop, after all. The idea that things happen for a reason is little more than a cop-out. I don't have an answer, but I don't want to look stupid, so... And that's it. That's all of it. It's the same reason we fall back on God. It's the only reason we fall back on God. We created God out of ignorance and worship him out of ignorance. He, she, it is nothing more than another word for ignorance. Our ignorance, who art in heaven. In the beginning, ignorance created the heavens and the earth. Those words were written because we didn't know. We were ignorant. So we made a guess. God is a guess born out of ignorance. And the folks who made this guess aren't exactly people you should rely upon. Let's keep in mind, these people weren't geniuses. Heck, they weren't even college dropouts. You want reasons? I'll give you reasons. There are two reasons why things happen, the practical reason and the philosophical reason, okay? They're very simple to describe. The practical reason is the physical reason for something. Things are shot because guns fire bullets, planes crash because gravity's a bitch, and so on. The philosophical reason for something is the reason we interpret within our own philosophy. And this reason could actually be God did it. It's not a very well thought out philosophy, but it serves many, so there you are. But a better way to look at that, and by better I mean more fulfilling, more reasonable, more useful for mental health purposes in creating a more understanding, caring person, is to ask for your reason, your own takeaway interpretation of events, because we all have our own. Before we have a chance to imagine God did it, we're already coming up with our own philosophical reasons. What do I mean by that? Well, when I went through my divorce, I had to look for a reason. And it took me years to understand it. And my answers did change over those years. But I have come out with a far more complete understanding of myself and of life in general than if I had simply said, God did it. It was God's plan. When I look at the citizens of El Paso and Dayton and so many other places visited by violence, I look for social reasons for the tragedy, for mental health reasons. I look towards the guns and the weapons of war. I look toward the unhappiness and the hatred fomented in so much of our politics. Saying God did it, saying everything happens for a reason, and putting that reason out of our reach is not just harmful to us as human beings, shutting us off from a better future where we can honestly address our issues. It's also embarrassing to live in a country that embraces such ignorance and stupidity. The truth is, there is no free will, and you'll never know your destiny because it's not laid out by some man in the clouds. Things happen for a reason, and you may be that reason. Any other explanation can be based on truth and logic, or we can hide in a shallow grave marked with a tombstone that reads, God did it. And thank you for listening to me talk a little bit of shit at you. I don't claim to have all the answers, but I know that we must talk about these issues if we're ever going to find understanding. Until next time, be good to yourself, be kind to others, and let's make this world a better place.